The quality is so much better than I expected. It feels like something way more expensive. Honestly, it's kind of a steal. Show support to Nubian narrator and cop some merch before it's sold out again.
Another day, another defection. Another Tory waking up, looking in the mirror and deciding their principles would look better in Reform Blue. At this point, Reform UK is not a political party. It's a clearance aisle for disgruntled Conservatives. Buy one ideology, get one midlife crisis free. Romford MP Andrew Rosindell, 23 years a Conservative. 23 years. That is not a phase. That is a mortgage. That is a lifestyle. That is an entire political personality. And now suddenly it's, I've seen the light. Suddenly it's, my conscience can no longer cope. Suddenly it's, the party left me, not the other way around. Be serious. You did not wake up with a moral awakening. You woke up with polling data and a fear of irrelevance. Let's be honest, these are not ideological migrations. These are career survival maneuvers. This is LinkedIn behaviour with a Union Jack filter. Reform UK is out here collecting defectors like old Pokemon cards. Slightly bent, edges worn, no longer rare, but technically still part of the set. Oh look, another former Tory MP, haven't seen this one before, no. Yes you have. You've seen all of them. They just keep changing the logo on the badge. And every time one of them jumps ship, they give us the same script. Not a new script, the same one. I can no longer stand by while the country suffers. I am putting country before party. This is about principle. No, this is about personal brand rehabilitation. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say plainly. You didn't leave because the Conservatives became morally broken. They were already morally broken when you joined. You stayed through austerity. You stayed through Brexit chaos. You stayed through COVID contracts. You stayed through lies. You stayed through sleaze. You stayed through the revolving door of leaders like it was Love Island for prime ministers. But now that the polls look ugly and the base is splintering, suddenly you have discovered ethics. Convenient timing. Divine revelation via YouGov. And let's talk about Reform UK itself. Because we need to stop pretending this is some insurgent outsider movement. Reform UK is not anti-establishment. It is the establishment, just rebranded for people who like their politics with louder fonts and fewer facts. Same economic thinking, same obsession with culture wars, same tired slogans reheated in the microwave of national decline, different packaging, same ingredients. Nigel Farage welcoming defectors with open arms like a nightclub promoter who suddenly realised the guest list is empty. Come on in, lads, plenty of room. Bring your followers, bring your donors, bring your baggage. Farage standing there like the manager of a franchise called Disgruntled Conservatism, now opening new branches nationwide, and every new defector is presented as proof of momentum. Look at us growing, look at us surging, look at us winning hearts and minds. No, what you are watching is political recycling. Same people, same record, same failures, just different colours on the rosette. You cannot spend decades building the house, setting the fire, and then walk next door and claim you are now the fire brigade. The public is not stupid. Exhausted, yes. Disillusioned, yes. Angry, yes. But not blind. People see through the performance. They hear the rebrand. They recognise the accent of opportunism. This is not conviction politics. This is influencer politics. High engagement, low integrity. Optimise for headlines. Every defection is treated like breaking news. Breathless reporting. Urgent push notifications. Senior MP defects. Shock defection rocks Westminster. Political earthquake. Earthquake. Please. This is not tectonic shift. This is a mid-season cast reshuffle in a show nobody enjoys anymore. You want to talk about political courage? Courage would be staying in your party and fighting internally for real reform when it actually costs you something. Courage would be resigning from Parliament entirely and admitting you were part of the failure. Courage would be stepping aside for new voices rather than dragging your political corpse into another party's spotlight. This is not courage. This is survival instinct dressed up as heroism. And the pattern is always the same. They leave. They blame the party. They never blame themselves. Never once do they say, I helped create the mess I am now running from. It is always, I have been betrayed. Never, I betrayed the public. Because accountability is fashionable in speeches, but deadly in practice. And the media plays along. Soft interviews, gentle questions, soothing tones. So tell us what led to this difficult decision. Difficult? This is not difficult. This is strategic. Difficult would be explaining to your constituents why they should trust you after you have spent decades representing one ideology and now expect them to believe you are suddenly transformed. Difficult would be acknowledging that maybe the problem is not the party, but the political class itself. Because that is the uncomfortable truth beneath all of this. People are not angry at the logos. They are angry at the behaviour, the arrogance, the detachment, the revolving door of elites who treat public office like a networking event. Reform is not winning because it has better ideas. Reform is gaining ground because trust in politics has collapsed so deeply that any voice claiming to be anti-mainstream automatically gains traction, even if that voice is coming from the same mouths that helped shape the mainstream for decades. That is not a political revolution. That is a symptom of democratic decay. And the danger is real, because when politics becomes pure spectacle, when loyalty becomes optional, when ideology becomes a costume you change depending on the season, the public stops believing in any of it. They disengage, they withdraw. They lose faith not just in parties, but in the entire system. That vacuum does not stay empty. It gets filled with anger, with conspiracy, with radicalization, with apathy. So no, this is not funny in the long term. It is absurd, it is ridiculous, it is meme-worthy. But underneath the humour is something genuinely corrosive. You cannot build a healthy democracy on political musical chairs. And let's be brutally honest. If Reform UK truly believed in renewal, they would not be stacking their benches with career politicians who have already had decades to prove themselves. They would be cultivating new candidates, new thinkers, new leadership. Instead, they are assembling a reunion tour of disillusioned conservatives and pretending it is a movement. You cannot call it change when it is literally the same people. You cannot call it fresh when it smells like old power repackaged. You cannot call it anti-elite when your front line is made entirely of former ministers, former insiders, former beneficiaries of the exact system they now criticise. This is not rebellion. This is rebranding. And the public deserves better than being treated like a marketing demographic. People deserve politicians who mean what they say consistently over time, not politicians who discover new principles every time their career trajectory falters. If you change your ideology every time the polls shift, you do not have beliefs. You have strategy. If you serve one party for 20 years and then suddenly claim moral disgust, the question is not why did you leave? The question is why did you stay so long? So spare us the theatre. Spare us the redemption arcs. Spare us the dramatic press releases written like resignation letters from a Netflix drama. We're not watching a hero's journey. We are watching political musical chairs in a burning building. And the public is tired. Tired of being lied to. Tired of being managed. Tired of being treated like they will forget everything that happened before the rebrand. Memory still exists. Internet archives still exist. Voting records still exist. Speeches still exist. Receipts still exist. You do not get to erase your political history just because you change the colour of your rosette. So yes, another defection. Another headline. Another press cycle. Another self-declared act of bravery. But for many watching, it does not read as bravery. It reads as panic. It reads as self-preservation. It reads as politicians scrambling for relevance in a system that no longer commands public trust. And until political culture itself changes, until accountability becomes real, until integrity becomes non-negotiable rather than performative, we will keep watching this carousel spin. New party, same faces, same excuses, same outcomes. The public deserves more than recycled politicians and recycled narratives. The country deserves more than ideological costume changes. Democracy deserves more than defectors pretending they are saviours. Not right, not left, just real.